Hello, Internet. Welcome to the Desert Island Institute of Film history class.
Yes?
Yeah, I'm registered in this class.
What class?
Ooh, Mr. Hand's class is in session, y'all.
We are going to talk about history. You have an older sister.
I do.
And there is a famous quote that says, "Those who forget history are condemned to repeat it."
I got to warn you. You're doomed if you stay. Go. Go.
I should have thought of that after I had Bray, you know? You know, you probably think that I pick on him too much and that's abusive, you know, kind of thing, but I do. I love you, man.
Cats in the cradle and a silver spoon. Little boy blue and the man in the moon. When you're coming home, Dad, I don't know when. We'll get together then, son. You know we'll have a good time then.
My name's Paul,
I'm Diet Dr. Paul.
and we just talk about movies and in quirky ways, just the way you do with your dad or your mom, your brother or sister. Go back and watch our first pilot episode or any of our other episodes, give you a feel for what we are doing. And today we are talking about history, but it's really biopics, biographical pics. Why do you think that there are, because there were a ton. This was a hard one.
Yeah.
Why do you think, because I have a reason why I think Hollywood makes so many biopics.
Well, I mean, I think it's just easy for us to connect to. They're real. It's not fascinating or fantastical stories. But I think also you learn pretty quickly that a lot of biopics are already pretty fantastical when you find the right ones.
Yeah, I have a saying in my work: if you bet on lazy, you win every time. And so it really is kind of lazy. Is you just sort of pick a famous sports figure, political figure, musician, kind of thing.
And just hope they had a fun life.
Because I think this says something about the world, about Americans.
Yeah, I think political figures is probably the least likely. So entertainment things with an entertainment value.
I think novelists, writers are probably least. Because
I'm gonna put them in the same place. Yeah, people don't really pay attention to
I think we
politics.
have, people don't. I mean, people don't read as much.
No, they don't.
Yeah,
No, not at all.
Turn this off and read a book. Oh yeah, I can give you some examples. I'm reading a book right now, changing my life.
If you don't change the channel, I'll kick him out. How about that?
Yeah. No, I think we have a lot of sports figures because sports is exciting, and that's and then musicians, and we see a lot of those. If you were to categorize yours, did you have a category that was more than one?
Well, like I told you, when I sat down originally to do it, for some reason my brain locked into autobiographies and biographies and not biopics. So I had to go back and think of it from a perspective of not just people, but like places and events and times. And that made it difficult to then basically have to go through and trim a completed list even more. Okay. But I think every list has its own obstacles.
Okay. I speak Diet Dr. Paul, and let me translate.
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
Most of the 7 picks that I am going to present to you really are not biopics, okay? And so, because I don't know what he's going to say.
3 of them are Quentin Tarantino movies.
And I'm kidding. This means these actually happen. These are real stories.
I thought about doing like Once Upon a Time in America or Inglourious Bastards or something that's like, it's a real story but with like a different ending. But I didn't, I promise.
All right. Okay. Which percentage of yours do you think that there was the overlap?
That are going to overlap on the on my list?
Yep.
Let's see. Maybe 1 or 2, maybe.
I'm thinking 1.
Survey says.
Maybe.
I think I already know what movie it is, and I'm gonna put a little mark next to it just because I know.
I'm gonna put mine. Okay, we'll see if
know which one it
and what do
is.
we get if I bet right?
A kick in the pants.
Okay. All right. And I'm supposed to go first on this one.
Go for it.
Number 1.
No. Number 7.
Number 7,
The short video.
The Glenn Miller Story. What you say? All right, it's black and white. No, 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 no. Are you a Miller fan? Do you know who Glenn Miller? When
He's
I say
a musician.
yes.
Yes.
Okay, can you name one song that he did?
Don't need to.
Why?
Because I don't need to.
You don't like big band 40s music? We wouldn't have music today. We wouldn't have rock and roll if it wasn't for it.
vaudeville. The soundtrack
no,
of vaudeville.
First of all, this was it's a sweet movie, and it sort of depicts Hollywood loves, or did in that time period, kind of thing, biopics. This is the story of Glenn Miller. Obviously, it's in the title. It's got James Stewart and June Allison. Great chemistry. He plays this band leader. But you had Joseph Lister. You had this whole. Louis Pasteur. All of these films back then. That was the thing. Making movies about the lives of famous people, and that was I don't see as much, even though we have a lot of them lately. I don't see as much as that as a genre. But this is very sweet. He has to hawk his trombone. He needs money, and then of course it has the love interest thing. And he was in the military. I don't know. There is a website now that you can go and check for the accuracy of films. And I do that all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
I need to see that. That's pretty cool.
I just watched so what you can do, the Google term that I do to get it is, you mention like Oppenheimer and then say accuracy, and then it'll take it and it'll show you the lead, and it'll show a picture of who the person was and then the actor, and talks about, did this really happen? Did that really happen?
I think it's cool.
I don't think that the Glenn Miller story is probably on that deal, but it's a very sweet and rewatchable, and the music, that's the star. And you probably don't know a whole lot of Glenn Miller, but once you hear music, you'll recognize, the Moonlight Serenade is probably his most famous piece of work, but it's good stuff. It's bopping.
Interesting.
No, it's not, and that's condescending, just even the way you say that. Oh, interesting.
No.
Yeah.
I promise it's not true.
Yeah.
That's not
Why
true.
don't you just tell me all my taste is in my mouth?
It is. No, I guess we just can't all be winners like me.
Well, okay. Your number 7 movie that's not really a biopic is?
All right. Number 7. Now, I had the
This is
biggest
the explanation of why it's not a biopic.
No, this list was difficult because there was a lot of movies that ended up on here that I've already used, and some of them I've already used multiple times on this, so I could not use them. So I'll just go ahead and tell you what those are so you don't expect them, okay? So you're not going to find The King on here. Tombstone's not going to be on here. Zero Dark 30 is not going to be on here. Into the Wild's not going to be on here. Amadeus isn't going to be on here because I've already used them. Zodiac's not going to be on here because I've already used it. So number 7.
Let me just say, before you go forward, because we might want to cut this so you can fix your list. Willy Wonka is not a real person.
I didn't say Willy Wonka. Douche. All right, number 7. Kingdom of Heaven. Now, this is Ridley Scott, and this is one that I kind of think went under the radar a bit. And I am a giant fan of this movie because I saw this movie 10 times before I even realized that Edward Norton was in the movie and one of the main characters in the movie because he so blends into it. But it's a movie about the...
Tell me the name of the historical figure that this is explaining their life.
I was getting ready to. And it's not about a specific figure, it's about a specific event. The event is the Crusades. And in particular, the uprising of Guy de Saint... I don't want to mispronounce his last name. It's French. Anyway, he's the villain of the movie. You get it. But I am a big fan of this movie. It's very well made. very. It reminds me in an essence of Fight Club in that it feels like almost like two separate films, but it's not 4 hours long. It's only 2 hours long, but you feel like you get much more bang for your buck. It's one of the most rewatchable movies on planet Earth, in my opinion. Big fan of this movie, and a very, very interesting story, nonetheless.
I could not tell you anything at all about the movie you just said, just because I don't remember it.
Sounds like a person.
I'm positive I saw it,
Yeah, it's a good movie. I like it.
but I
Big
don't know.
It's what's his face?
Oh, him.
Legolas from Lord of the Rings. And Liam Neeson's in it.
Really?
Edward Norton's in it. Yeah, it's a good one.
Okay.
I would say go back and watch it if you haven't.
If I watch it again, will you
Nope.
watch?
What's the movie? Will I watch what?
The Glenn Miller story?
No.
Okay. But you like black and white films.
No. I'm just kidding. I don't want to watch it. I don't know who Glenn Miller is. He's a musician, but
Okay.
when did the movie come out?
I don't want to embarrass myself by.
Well, just like take a
It
just,
probably was the 50s.
okay, just so I know kind of what period it
Yeah.
came out. Just
Number 6. Spirit of St. Louis. This would be a really nice double feature with the Glenn Miller story because it also stars James Stewart, and it is the story of Charles Lindbergh. Do you know, New York to Paris, that kind
I
of
know
thing?
his baby.
You are the father.
Yes. And you know that, I mean, you've been to the Smithsonian Institute, and remember in the Air and Space Museum, they have the plane there. Do you remember that at all?
I mean, not specifically, no, but I know we went.
You remember the trip.
Yes, I remember the trip. I don't remember that plane hanging from.
Yeah. This is kind of what you're saying because it doesn't detail his entire life. It just details the flight. And it's kind of harrowing because, it's like he's by himself. He's got, it's a small plane. And I believe that the plane was manufactured to make it sort of historically accurate. And he's got, his little lunch in there. And it's, how do you do this by yourself? And he's fallen asleep kind of stuff. In some cases, he's flying blind, doesn't know where he's at. There's a fly that gets inside the cabin. And it really is. You talk about how do you make a movie that we talked about on the show is like, how do you make a movie where you just have primarily one set, like in 12 Angry Men kind of stuff? Well, think about this. You're in an airplane. Now, there are other scenes sort of like in how he gets into the plane and stuff, but once he hits the plane, that's the sweet spot. And he's there for hours.
How long is the movie?
It's like 90 minutes. Okay. Yeah. But it's really good. And it's that same, I believe this is in color. So that might be a little bit more accessible to you. But it is. I love Jimmy Stewart. I want to live, Clarence. So it's just but it's very sweet. And again, I don't know how historically accurate it is, but I want to believe that it is absolutely 100% accurate.
It probably, even in best case scenario, it's probably not 100% accurate, but maybe 80%.
Well, they did cut a lot of corners back in that time period because they wanted
just to make it feasible to film.
right.
Yeah.
Right. But it's good, and it's actually about on the definition of biography, a person as opposed to a tribe or a group or a time
A
period.
nation state?
Yes.
A person?
Yes. So I can't wait to hear yours.
It is about a... Well, my number 7 was about a person. What are you talking about? I'm just going to go on.
Which person? Tell me the name of the person.
I told you I don't want to butcher his last name. Gideon.
Oh, him.
The bad guy from the movie. Okay,
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I quit. I'm leaving. I'm
I am so glad he left. Okay. Can we talk here? Okay. I realize
One eternity later.
I don't tell him this, but I get a lot of emails from you all saying, get rid of him and just, hey, how you doing? Is everything fine?
Yeah.
Is it okay? All right. No, we were talking about how much we missed you and would wish you would hurry back for some more erudite, insightful analyses.
What are you people? On dope?
Number two, or number
All right,
number
time to
six.
hop on the nostalgia bone, and let's whisk you around to number 6. Numero 6. Now, I will say this is the movie that ended up on the list because Zodiac is not on it. Okay. Number 6. The Social Network. Bam. Is that about enough of a person for you?
It was on my original list that I had to whittle down.
I figured it was. This was one of the ones that I thought might possibly be one that you had picked.
It's a great, great movie.
A good movie, well casted. Big fan of Jesse Eisenberg. Huge fan of Justin Timberlake as an actor too in this. He kind of steals the show. I like Andrew Garfield in it. Just a supremely casted movie. The Winklevi brothers are really good. What's his face? But just from top to bottom, a well crafted film. And I don't think anybody in their right mind can really nitpick Fincher's filmmaking in that. Specifically, that's a subject matter that a lot of people know about, a lot of people care about. So it was something that a lot of expectations were akin to and held to. So the fact that it's good, I think, just proves even more so that he knows what he's doing. And
You didn't mention the score. Trent Reznor,
yeah,
Nine Inch Nails. It is really.
It's. I'll tell you why I liked it is because it sat in the background. It wasn't something that sort of jumped out at me, but it is very good. It's very, very on the key for it.
Atmospheric and moody. It conveys,
And that's what you kind of need with this is a lot of scenes where you just have sort of that atmospheric ambient music in the background. And I dig that. In a big way.
I would go as far to say, yes, I totally agree about the score. But this film in particular, I think it's Fincher's best film.
Okay. I mean, I wouldn't disagree. Like, if that's.
Well, I know, but you love the.
I mean, I have my favorites too, but I highly like this movie. Genuinely speaking, most of his movies to me are an 8 out of 10 or better, except for Aliens 3. Pretty much the only one. So,
Yeah,
it's good no matter what.
good choice.
I know.
Number 5, Yankee Doodle Dandy.
Oh, Yankee Doodle, damn it. That's Cagney.
Yes. George M. Cohan.
I remember that movie.
Because we had to make you watch it with like a 4th of July kind of thing.
When you watched it, I saw it. I mean, sure.
So you saw it, but you didn't watch it?
No, I watched it. I saw it. It's not a movie that I particularly care for, but I mean, I know you like it.
I do. It makes me just really, it gives me goosebumps kind of thing. It is black and white. It is during that period of where Hollywood was in love with America and, patriotism and that kind of stuff. And it is one of those things that makes you want to, love for, God and country and the military. It's on my list because not only is it, I mean, George M. Cohan is arguably one of the greatest producers in the history of Broadway, but it's also there because James Cagney. We've lost, I think, the performers, artists that do multiple disciplines. Now, it's not unusual to have somebody be an actor and also maybe a singer, but you're talking about somebody that could sing and could dance and could act. He was like Sammy Davis Jr. kind of, would put in that same category. And but he really just he's a fine actor, and his dancing and his singing, again, it's a good movie. It's a warm movie, and I'm kind of surprised that you say it's not your thing.
I give you a hard time sometimes. I mean, I actually remember a lot about the movie. It does stick out. I think what we asked for in leading characters and leading anchors is so different today. And before, that's the heels of vaudeville still. So you have the physical comedy and all that extra stuff that now filmmaking just doesn't need because it can do that with the small subtleties of it. So I think it's just part of it. But I also think that it made for leading men and leading women that were more capable actors back then. Today's you had such longevity in those James Cagney, for instance, Jimmy Stewart, whatever, however you have it. They just seem to last longer. And I think it's because of that they were much more Renaissance men than today, for what it's worth.
Yeah, it's a good, and as a film, it is arguably better than Glenn Miller's story and the Spirit of St. Louis. It is an American movie classic. Watch it.
Or don't.
4th of July especially.
All right. Number 5. The Assassination of Jesse James by the Coward Robert Ford. Seen it? Mm-hmm. Have you? Mm-hmm. I didn't see this movie when it originally came out. It just kind of passed me by. I didn't really care for it. Ended up watching it for some reason years later, and again, didn't care for it. But then I saw it recently, and I ended up watching it like 2 or 3 more times the very next week because I really got into it. I'm just a big fan of movies that are filmed that feel realistic to the time period, where it doesn't feel like there's a Hollywood set off the side somewhere. And this one absolutely feels like it. It's not done like a Hollywood film. It's much more of an indie movie with a grand scale to it. Obviously, Brad Pitt never turns in and doesn't turn on his performance. You got Casey Affleck for all the crap that he gets into off the screen. He's an amazing actor. Sam Shepard's in it. Your boy Scott Conn is in it. Who else is in it? There's a bunch more big time actors in it. But a Western that's not a Western. It's just not shot like a Western. It's shot more like a, futuristic drama or something. It's just weird. It's different, and it's very refreshing.
It makes me, you talking about makes me want to go back and watch it again, because I did see it, and I saw it one time, and I liked it.
Yeah, it's a refreshing feel to it.
Yeah.
It just doesn't feel like a normal Hollywood movie, and I think it just adds to it.
I remember Casey Affleck standing out in my mind as they think back, and you're right, and he has grown considerably since then. His performance.
Yeah, there's 2 or 3 characters in there that just master class in acting. Brad Pitt, Casey Affleck are 2 of them. They really just kick it up in there. And so if you consider yourself a Western fan and you haven't seen it, you have to at least give it a try. Maybe it's not your cup of tea in the end of it, but it's a great movie. And it's a biopic.
Good. Number 4. Dragon, the Bruce Lee story. Jason Scott Lee, Lauren Holly, she's from Dumb and Dumber. She was the love interest kind of stuff. Great.
Isn't that Jim Carrey's wife at one point?
I think you're right. Yeah. This was, I saw this on the big screen, and then I think I saw it, on DVD multiple times. I love Bruce Lee. I love his films. His story, it just really kind of remarkable, and it reminds me of sort of how Hollywood used to do biopics, because it is classic, like how's this and this stage and that stage, and we what you're describing with Jesse James, Assassination of Jesse James, isn't okay here. It's where he's born and he's raised and he went to school, and here's his high school graduation picture and stuff. But back then you had much more of the span of their life in Hollywood, like in my first choice with the Glenn Miller story kind of deal. So good stuff. Music, the score of this is great. I can't remember who the score was, but I purchased it after watching the film. And my favorite line in it is, and I believe that it was spoken, the narration was actually Bruce Lee's widow. And she says, because you remember the whole thing about, there was a lot of mystery in terms of how he died, what he died from.
Yeah.
And she says, people ask me, about, well, how he died. And she says, I prefer to talk about how he lived. Yeah. And I thought that was just like, great action set pieces. I think, Jason Scott Lee, I can't remember, I don't even know if he's still alive or not, because you don't see a lot of him in films, but I need to look that up, see what else he's done, because he nails
He didn't blow up very much afterwards. He's done a lot of small stuff where he's like a very side character. here or there, but I've not seen him. And I'm a big fan of this movie too. It was on my list. Even closer to being on my list was actually It Man, which is the true story of his teacher growing up too, which is just kind of interesting. But a great movie. If you like Bruce Lee, you got to see it. You got to see it.
I never even thought of the It Man. I mean, I love the entire series.
All right, number 4. Wolf of Wall Street. What? What? It's about a man named Jordan Belfort, and he's a real person.
I know.
I'm a real boy. 5 shillings for the possessed toy. Take it away.
What a good movie. Yes, it's rated R, and yes, it's not for children by any stretch of the imagination. So let's just put that out there. Children, close your eyes, close your ears.
All you gotta do is say earmuffs to them. Earmuffs. They can say shit, whatever you want. Balls. Okay, I'm just proving a point. You don't have to celebrate it, Frank.
But it's a great movie, and one of the great things about filmmaking is when you get these pictures where it's a perfect storm, right? You get the great direction, you get the great story from whatever historical thing it's pulled from. You get the A-list actor. You get the other A-list actor that his buddy that's like sort of the background guy. John Bernthal, Johnny Depp, or not Johnny Depp. Leonardo DiCaprio. Jeez, man, I need to stop doing drugs.
Well, you've been drinking a lot of caffeine.
Too much Coke.
Yeah.
What's the big guy? Jonah Hill. But just a well-made movie. The music, he does such a good job of mixing music and scenes together and just finding that perfect song. I had a roommate, you remember Joe. This is his favorite movie, so we've seen this. I've seen this movie so many times, and it still doesn't get old. If you haven't seen this movie, you better be blind. That's the only reason. And I think I've asked you about it before, but I'm not really 100% sure what your...
I can't really say anything at all about it because I couldn't finish it.
Really?
Really. I believe I watched, I don't know, it felt like forever, but maybe a quarter of it, and then I turned it off.
Wow.
I can't remember. It just was not. And this is Scorsese, isn't he? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which is very, because I love Scorsese.
Won some Academy Awards for it.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, I know he did. He was nominated for a bunch.
But no, and I don't know, it might have been, I don't get offended easily, but it might have been, there was something that just sort of felt like it was exploitative, but I don't know. I can't remember. All I remember is I just...
Didn't care for it.
Something in my brain, spirit was saying, turn this off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, it ain't everybody's cup of tea. It's not mine, and I realize that. My sensibilities in movies is different than a lot of people, I think. But I think it's a great movie.
I remember watching it, and it was hitting sort of a Wall Street vibe, which I love Wall Street.
Yeah, it's like Wall Street, but like turning up the Porkies to 20.
Yeah.
You know, it's got an excessivity to it. Is that a word?
Yes.
Man, you think I would know it by now. It's been speaking English for a few years.
Most of your life.
Yeah, most of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely not a tame film by any stretch.
Well, that's why you said, children don't watch it. Which, do you think we have a lot of child viewers? Do you have an audience among the prepubescents?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
But we welcome all.
I don't know who our audience is, but I know that you are locked into the zeitgeist. I've told you that before because
all 2 or 3 of them.
I think the tendency is that when I go back and I look and analyze the data, I think you are much more. I think I'm the old guy. It's like, okay, shut up and let little Paul talk.
I try to make sure that to approach it from a proper way is that this isn't about other people's opinions and how that affects me into creating my list. No, it should be 100% my opinion. And so I think sometimes maybe there's and I'm not saying like just you or me, but like in general, a tendency to want to find something that other people may like that's in the mainstream a little bit and sort of going against maybe your actual pick. So I try not to do that. I try not to force things into situations. Oh, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that, and just pick the 7 that I think should be there.
I agree. Well, good.
That's what's up.
Okay. Number 3, Ray. This is my last 3 is like the trifecta of the top 3, and these are clearly, not only are these in terms of the historical, the prevalence and importance of these 3 individuals. Not to say that Charles Lindbergh wasn't important, because he certainly was, or James Cagney, but these are really very well-made biographical pics. And Ray Charles, I love Ray Charles. I love his music. I like his jazz music. I like his vocal music, his instrumental music. And Jamie Foxx nails it. He does. It's just amazing what he did in this. And again, I'm not sure that we're moving now into where you can check the historical accuracy, and I'm sure there's probably that was some things that were done for dramatic purposes. But it is the hard thing about a biopic is, especially if you know the person, how do you maintain the dramatic tension if you know, for example, Lincoln. Spoiler alert. Yeah, he gets shot. And so how do you maintain and keep people's when you already know what's going to happen?
Yes.
And so that is, that's the case with all of these kind of deals. But it's a wonderful film, and the music is just absolutely off the charts. So
yeah, he's
this
a
is the
chameleon.
one I thought that you would have on your list.
It was close. I think maybe this was closer to when it came out. It would have been on the list and been higher, because there's nothing wrong with the film at all. It's well made. It's spot on. I think it does a good job of giving you a truthful snapshot. And Jamie Foxx, excuse me, he kills it. I mean, he kills it. To this point, when he made that film, he was doing acting, but I don't think it's really what made people go like, oh crap, like, he's an actor. Like, this is a guy that can win an Academy Award, and he gets credit for that now, and this is sort of that. But I'm telling you, I don't know how he did it. I put it past him becoming blind and doing heroin to get it down to where he looked the way he looked. But it's been probably the one, if I was going to take a biography or biopic and say, okay, who looked the most like who they were supposed to be, he's going to take the cake for that.
Yeah.
Easy peasy.
I totally agree. He really did. And I like your analysis in terms of like, okay, he really is an actor. He's, I think his second best role is Baby Driver. I don't know if you saw.
Oh yeah, big fan.
Yeah,
I bought that for you.
He's terrifying in that kind of thing. But yeah, absolutely. And are you a Ray Charles fan?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. We used to work in a kitchen in Columbia, and we would regularly listen to his greatest hits at night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I moved beyond greatest hits into the deep cuts.
Yeah, well, not everybody's as old as you are.
Because I do have, this is just a smattering, welcome to the annex of the man cave. I should give you a tour sometime of the real man cave, maybe someday.
We can come to my house and show it to him. All right, number 3, Goodfellas. Now, that probably should be number 1 on my list. It probably should be, but it's not. So deal with it. Again, I have a hard time saying this because it's not number 1 on the list. Goodfellas just might be the best movie ever made, from top to bottom. It just might be. So it's hard that it's number 3, but I don't know that there's a minute in that film that you could say is wasteful or anything about it. It's a perfect movie. Perfect cast, perfect direction, perfect score, perfect, like rock songs, whatever songs of the day that they got into it. Jump-starting Samuel L. Jackson's career. Oh my goodness. What is the name of the guy that's the lead? Holy crap. Ray Liotta. My goodness. I about lost the plot there. Ray Liotta, quintessential. I'm just telling you, it just very well might be.
I don't remember Samuel Jackson. What?
He's the driver. They kill him. They shoot him. Remember? He's the Lufthansa, the getaway car driver, whatever. He stashes the car. He doesn't do it properly. His name's is... Oh. I would know his name. Yeah, he's in it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's not quite recognizable because he's still so young in it. But again, yeah, I don't think I could argue with you if you said it was the best movie.
I didn't like flinch or go into heart palpitations when you said it's the greatest movie ever made, because you could build the case that it's certainly in the running. I have a hard time, but
yeah. I wouldn't say that I think it's the best movie, but it could be, could very well could be.
yeah,
Especially
like
since
it.
that would change every day, whether it's.
And I thought about it, and and I didn't put it on my list because we've talked about it other times and so many times, and people know how we feel about it.
But that's why I couldn't leave it off.
Yeah.
And that's why it's where it is at number 3. But if we're strictly going from like how good is the movie, it's going to be number 1 on the list.
Yeah, yeah.
Because there's no movie besides maybe Godfather 1 or 2 that can touch it for its genre anyway. So, but that's my number 3.
It is a good and obvious choice.
Yeah.
Number 2, Gandhi.
Gandhi was on my list, but I did not put it on my list.
Richard Attenborough is the director, and
Attenborough directed that?
he is primarily a director. He is he did this and Mind Blown. What, you thought he was just Jurassic Park?
I just thought he was just like a voiceover guy.
No, he directed this, and based on the respect that he employed with the life of Mahatma Gandhi, that was why Chaplin's family allowed him to direct Chaplin with Robert Downey Jr.
That was another one that almost made it on here.
Yeah. I think it is, in some ways, of the movies that I have on my list, it is the best film.
It's one of the more powerful ones.
I didn't put it as number 1 because of the historical significance of Mahatma Gandhi. It is highly watchable. It is moving. It's a long movie. Music is great. Cinematography is amazing. Ben Kingsley, I believe he got the Oscar Best Actor for this.
Oh, damn.
Yes. I don't believe that this movie could be done now, because I think if you used a white actor to portray an Indian, now he's British, and of course
he doesn't look white, Caucasian. He does have a darker complexion, which I think.
Well, he transformed himself physically in terms of the weight.
Looks just like Gandhi
Yeah.
in that movie. I'm telling you, just like Gandhi. I can see why you have it above Ray, because maybe one of the few ones where it looks better than Ray did in terms of how accurate it was.
Yeah.
It's creepy.
I would say to our viewers is go into it and don't watch the trailer or anything. The less that you know, but actually I think for a lot of people that watch us probably don't know anything at all about Gandhi. It was the work that he did that really sort of resulted in Martin Luther King and the civil rights movement. You think, man, how in the world are they connected? Well, Martin Luther King was a sort of not a physical student, but he was a philosophical student of Gandhi and nonviolence, and how one person can transform and be of such historical significance. Because that's exactly what this guy, this little tiny, this British lawyer that really became one of the most loved figures in the history of and it, it's like England has sort of either, I don't want to get into the politics of it, but clearly the independence of how India received their independence or obtained their independence from England, from Britain, it's a great story. You gotta watch it. You gotta watch it.
Yeah. It's, again, there's certain movies I think whether you truly love them or not is beyond the point and moot at that point. You're a film fan. You need to experience some films just to have saying you did it. And I think this is one you can put in that list. Yeah. But I agree. I didn't put it on my list because I just don't have quite the same connection to you, to it as you do. But it was on if I wrote it in there, then that means there's a possibility that I would have put it on the list. So it's a good one. All right. Number 2, The Big Short. Pow. I tell you what, You read the log line for that movie, and you think you're about to watch 6 hours of paint dry. It's about the stock market crash and finances in what, 2007, 2008, somewhere around there. Oh, it's not though. It's one of the most exciting movies that came out that year. Did it win Best Picture, or was it Birdman that won? It was a weird year. That was a good year. Very good year around then for films to come out. But in the runnings for a Best Picture type film, I know it was nominated for Best Picture. Ensemble cast: Steve Carell, Christian Bale, Brad Pitt. Top to bottom, great cast. I love movies that have ensemble casts. I just like a sprawling cast. The more characters, the better, and this very well does it. Ryan, what's his face, the pretty guy from The Notebook, is in it. I like the way the director went about this film, and it's like a very serious subject matter about a very terrifying time in American history that's told very cheeky, tongue-in-cheek way, but it actually, I think, sort of helps like the Band-Aid of the situation, the best way to explain it. A movie that will make you want to be an adult, yeah? And make you want to like, oh, I better get my crap together so that I don't have a, Ponzi scheme that takes all my money.
I just watched it last week again.
Yes.
And I absolutely agree with you. But I think my reaction about it in terms of the subject matter is it makes me angry.
Yes.
And, the whole, that American business, and in this case, it's the, banking industry and it's the housing market, just the amount of disreputable behavior and outright lying, and it's the amount of greed.
And it's shocking.
Happens. It is. And it's one of these things that I agree with you. If you read what it was about, you think, I don't think that's gonna good. It is really, it's riveting. It keeps you on the edge of your seat. But it's also it's kind of like if you were to read what happens, you think it seems more like of a fiction, that it couldn't possibly have happened, and yet it did. And that's the terror. And the thing is that's scary is that if it happened once, these kind of things could happen again.
Oh, they set it up at the end of the movie. They already talk about how they've already basically rephrased a word, created a new word for these same practices, that they're just doing it all over again. Yeah. And that's the scary part.
People lost their entire, retirement.
People
funds
killed
again.
themselves
Yeah.
over this stuff. It was a dark, and I remember when this happened, very disconnected from being an adult. I was still pretty young at that time. Even then being scared of it, so.
Yeah.
But heck of a movie too. And one that you do feel a little bit better about, the world leaving out of there.
Yeah. Good. I mean, good choice. I wouldn't call it a biopic.
Oh,
but...
They're not biopics.
Okay. Number 1. Lawrence of Arabia, the greatest biopic of all time.
I knew you would take the easy way out. You just fall on your sword. This is like YouTube channel seppuku right here.
No, it's I knew nothing about it when I saw it the first time. I knew nothing about T.E. Lawrence, and he essentially unified Arab tribes during World War I to fight the Turks, and I knew nothing about him at all. You have Peter O'Toole. It is the movie that made him a star. I mean, if he did nothing else the rest of his life, he still would have been considered one of the greatest actors that ever
As long
lived.
as he still did Phantoms.
That's right. You got Alex Guinness,
Yes.
Obi-Wan Kenobi. You had
Yes.
Anthony Quinn. And one of my favorites, Omar Sharif. And
Is that the other?
he was a sheik and yeah.
But the scene with him in the desert where the guy approaches, that's the other guy, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
Omar Sharif.
I use that scene when I teach shots to my class.
Yeah. The most famous shot, and first of all, the cinematography, if at all, see this on the biggest screen that you can, and I would love to see a 70 millimeter.
Oh, yeah.
I wish they would bring that back. The most famous scene is that when Peter O'Toole, when the character T.E. Lawrence is going to be sent off into the desert with this job that he's been assigned, in terms of go and find out what's going on with these Arab tribes. And so he lights a match, okay? And he's in an office kind of thing, and then he goes and he blows the match out, and immediately the screen turns to crimson, and it's the sunset of the desert. I remember seeing it the first time, and it was like it took my breath away, kind of thing. And Steven Spielberg is a huge fan of this movie. Saw it with I think Robert Wise is the director. I don't know. That's probably something stupid to say without knowing. I didn't check that. But Steven Spielberg does not do director's commentaries. He kind of just refuses to do that.
I wonder why.
And he said, though, that one of the highlights of his life was to sit next to the director of Lawrence of Arabia, and he's talking about it, and he just said it was like a masterclass. Well, that's what a director's commentary is, dude, so do one. But the music it is probably one of the best, one of the top 3 film scores of all time, kind of deal. It is epic in its scope. It's one of these movies that you used to go to, and they would actually have a intermission in the middle of it, so you could go to the bathroom and get some popcorn kind of stuff. And it was also where they would put a slide up, and they would it was, I don't even know, I don't speak French, but it's like here is the introductory music, and you just simply listen to the introductory music. It is amazing. You've seen it, right?
Yes, I teach. When I do blocking and camera shots, I use it to teach them about stuff.
Does it move you the way it moved me?
No. I mean, I don't quite have the story doesn't get me like some of the other ones. It's considered a great movie, visually stunning as all get out. The music's good, but for some reason, it's just not one of those movies that lack.
That surprises me because in its base, Lawrence of Arabia is a superhero film.
Okay.
I mean, I just thought of
Oh,
that
is
right
it? Okay,
now.
I love it. Yeah, I forgot.
I mean, we sometimes, when we prep for this, I have the titles. Sometimes we have a little bit of details, like who was in it. But as we're sitting here talking about it, it's a superhero film. He is being sent into the desert, which is like, you can't do that. No one survives, this trek that he's doing. It's a superhero film.
Without superpowers.
His superpowers is his Aryan
His
good looks.
smoldering good looks.
Yeah, I mean,
He does have,
Mongo's straight, but he's a hunk.
bright blue eyes,
Yeah.
and white blonde
He
hair.
is, and the costume design in this,
Crazy.
the cinematography. If you just turn the sound off and just looked at it,
That might help. Moving on, your movie sucks compared to mine. That was your number 1?
the greatest biopic of all time.
Not the
Hold
greatest
on.
biopic of
No, the greatest, according to Diet Dr. Paul, the greatest. This is going to be the byline. The greatest.
And mine's better than yours. The best is The Revenant. With Leonardo DiCaprio.
And tell me the name of the person, the historical figure that it depicts.
Hugh Glass.
He has a huge what?
Hugh Glass. He's a real person. This is a true story. Did you see the movie?
I did.
Yeah. And you know what? One thing that it has in common, or one thing that it's better than Lawrence of Arabia at, it was shot 100% with natural light, which is pretty incredible considering that it was shot in Alaska during, obviously there's the craziness with the sunlight down there, but they didn't use any artificial light or lighting devices at all in the making of this film, which I thought was pretty stunning. But again, I think, and I didn't plan this, but both of the films, your number 1, my number 1, the one thing they have mostly in common is the visual aspect of it. Both of them go above and beyond to sort of lock you in with the visuals and the cameras and the shot setups and the landscapes, and they both really nail that. Obviously I prefer my number 1 over your number 1 because I like the movie better. The bear attack scene in this movie, one of the best scenes I've ever seen. Still to this day turns my stomach when I watch it. Super realistic. I know that Leonardo DiCaprio won an Academy Award for his portrayal. but the show got stole by Tom Hardy in this movie. And he was he should have won actor for Best Picture, or Best Actor, as the villain of the story. But what did you think about?
I saw it once.
Yeah, there you go.
And I do remember the bear and, how harrowing that was.
Yeah, it was a good scene.
I can't remember a whole lot about it. You obviously care about it and love it. The historical importance of Hugh Glass. Is there such a thing as the
Hugh Glass Center for Children Who Can't Read?
Right, or Hugh Glass Elementary School somewhere?
I don't know.
Hugh Glass.
I'm certain
Drive.
they've written books about it and movies about it. Maybe there's something.
Because we have Martin Luther King Highway or whatever, but I just don't. I mean, I guess I didn't. I thought it was all fictional.
It's a true story.
Yeah.
He survived it.
Yeah. Well, as always, the nice thing about this is you come at this from a different perspective, and
right perspective.
And you do, and you tend to gravitate more towards
good movies.
Newer what?
Good movies,
newer films, and because of my age, I drink from a broader pool, so.
A sweeter broth.
Yes. Do you want to take us home?
No, you do a good job of it.
I don't.
You do.
Well, that's what the people on the internet have been saying, but we talk behind your back.
I heard you. I could hear it.
If you can't tell, we love doing this, and we would do it even if you weren't there, and in some cases you're not. But we'd love to have you be on the show. And we'd love to, as always, we encourage you, like us, subscribe, pass it on, tell people. If you'd like to be on the show, there's a address on the screen, and send us your ideas about this. Now, we make a big joke about it, send us a car or a boat or a house with servants, and that's for fun. Because we haven't received a single thing.
But we really do want people to be on the show.
We do. That's exactly it. So we'd like it to be a duo, and the thought is that because of the generational thing, that it'd be good for you to reflect that. So this is a great way to spend time with your kid or your parent, depending. So give us your ideas, your thoughts. If you want to do that, send it to the address on the screen or email it to us, and we will get right back to you. We can do this via Zoom. And do you have anything else to add about this?
Well, we've got Halloween stuff coming up all for the month of October. We got a bunch of stuff coming out for that. So
we are going to have an episode every single day, the 30 days of Halloween, with a film recommendation, something that you should watch, some of which you might not have heard of before. And that's always our goal, is to turn you on to something that's like Lawrence of Arabia or Kingdom of Heaven or whatever.
Never were paying attention.
What is it called? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we hope you find a gem or something, and we make you think of movies in a new way. But we'll see you at the movies, and peace out.